Enter the Dragon. Wonder what that's a reference to.
JCVD.
That's a Bruce Lee movie.
Must be a JCVD reference.
It's a Bruce.
I know it's a Bruce Lee movie, dude.
Come on, man.
That's
We're
the
fucking
joke.
professionals here.
Come on.
That's questionable.
Welcome back to another episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we cover the greatest show on TV, Warrior. This week we are covering episodes 9 and 10.
The penultimate episode.
There we go.
I'm not playing your dumb game this week.
All right.
It's not Tuesday. I'm not drinking.
I know.
Therefore,
He's only a Tuesday
I'm
holiday.
going to be
Tuesday holiday.
extra salty today because,
How can you be salty about this show? I feel.
I don't know. I'm not
Dude,
good.
Dude, these two episodes were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh.
They went a little dark.
It's super sad, dude. Yeah, we'll get into it. So, episodes 9 and 10, the season finale, right before season 3 comes out. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Matt Vader is begrudgingly here. Jude is always happy to be here.
Oh,
And Matthew Kadish, I don't know what your mood is because you have the same face every day.
Rusty Kadish face.
Face, yes. But I remember Jude and I first watched this season, like back when lockdown was happening a couple of years ago, and we were like, "Oh, did it get canceled? This is such a bad way to like end the series."
Yeah.
I mean, like even though like some stuff could like say like, okay, there's closure there. There were still like some loose story threads, so I'm so glad that we're getting season 3 on this one.
Yeah, for sure. The aftermath of these 2 episodes can be super interesting. I wonder if there's gonna be like a time jump or anything. But without further ado, Jude,
Yes.
take it away.
All right, sir. Season 2, Episode 9, Enter the Dragon. We start off with a reenactment of the night the lights went out in Mare Humdinger and the aftermath of the attack. Penny gives Jacob money and tells him to leave town. He goes to see his sick mother and on his way out of town finds that the police are already looking for him. Since he's pretty much a dead man anyway, Chow puts him in a coffin and says he's sending him to China. But the police find him and declare him very much alive, for now. He's on a paddy wagon headed to justice, but a mob of Irishmen that were looking for a reason to kill a Chinaman anyway stop the procession and force Jacob out of the wagon and into a noose, where Sophie watches him die. Leary swoops in with the rescue, and Sophie bites the hand that helped her. Now that the Irish all have their bloodlust on, they mob on over to Chinatown. Just as Mai Ling is congratulating herself on the good thing she and Chow did by turning over Jacob, the Irish mob arrives to facilitate the war that Buckley's been after for 2 seasons. The 3 best friends stand strong while the Irish approach. Li Yong shows up with the Long Z, and the Tongs are united in their mutual enemy. Chow and Mai Ling hunker down at a toys while she convalesces from her fight with the butchers. Finally, the full force of the police arrive to stop the war, and after, a few hop way come for Jacob's body left hanging outside the Banshee, and a Sahm and Leary make fuck-with-me eyes at each other as they carry the body of Jacob back to Chinatown. Discuss.
Dude, this episode, best episode of the series.
So many bad decisions were made.
But it was so cool.
It was amazing. Look, I'm not saying it wasn't amazing, but the first bad decision was Jacob taking the money and not immediately leaving.
Yeah.
Immediately leave. Don't
Immediate.
stop and make your mom tea.
She did say the train comes in the morning, so he really only had until the morning. But he should have gotten farther away.
Out. Yeah, get out of town.
You should have bought a horse.
Yeah.
and just
Rode off.
out.
He leaves half that wad under his mother's pillow, like somebody isn't immediately going to come take it.
It was Jacob's.
Also, his first mistake was saving Penny.
That's right. That is his
He
big
should
mistake.
have walked in, gone like, well, that's a shame. I guess I'll bump up my resume, and walked right the fuck out.
Damn.
Yeah, and Penny's mistake was telling Sophie that Jacob was the one who saved them.
Yeah, Sophie was out, right? She was knocked out.
Yeah.
She didn't see anything.
No, I think Sophie did see.
Did she?
No, she was knocked out.
It.
I fucking
No,
hate
she was.
Sophie.
She was.
Yeah,
not
she-
sure.
I'm pretty
I
sure she was
hate
knocked out.
Sophie.
Sophie's.
I don't think Jacob did anything anybody else wouldn't do.
I think.
Maybe grab a different weapon.
I mean, maybe just tackle him. You know.
No, I mean about the aftermath. He takes care of his dying mother. He has nowhere
Send
else to
a
go.
note.
Where the fuck else is he supposed to go?
away.
Down to the Italian district on the shoreline.
Just away,
you know,
literally anywhere.
it's
Could have
just-
been to the desert. He could have went to that brothel in the middle of Nevada with the Chinese owner guy.
Yeah.
From last season. He could have left
He
the
doesn't know
entire
about
city.
that place.
I know.
He
Just
Totally
could
different
have
storyline.
dug
But-
a hole and hunkered down for 3 days.
That's
and
what he
let-
did.
Yeah, let shit.
He could have gone to the Barbary Coast instead
Yeah.
of
Look,
Chinatown.
here's
Yeah.
the thing is, he was escaping just fine.
He should have
until-
gone to Mexico.
until Chow opened his fucking mouth.
Oh, Chow did him real dirty.
He
and Chow
escaped.
knew it too.
Yeah.
He was done.
So he
was
shows
out.
up- yeah, he
was
shows up
going
at-
back to the homeland, man. And
Chow
Chow-
didn't sign up for this though. Chow was like, this is
Yeah.
your problem.
Yeah, but as soon as
Yeah.
he flashed that wad of cash, he's like,
I mean, I get it. I get it. I do get
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
if I was Chow, I probably would have said the same thing because you know what? Until Jacob was captured, no Chinaman
was safe.
was safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were going to burn Chinatown down.
Which ended up happening anyway.
Right.
But that leads to my other really bad decision that happened. So like once Jacob like hunkers down in like a sewer or something like that.
It was a
It
basement.
feels like a day. He's out there eating rotten fruit because he's so hungry. I didn't understand like what the timeline was. He was like sitting there. Oh, right here. Look, it's on the
Yeah.
screen. He's eating like a piece of rotten
It's
fruit.
just an apple.
Yeah, but he's acting like he's been down there for like 3 days.
He's been down there like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
He's been running all over Chinatown
Oh,
trying to
his-
escape.
his little
I'd be
vitamin C pack.
hungry too.
I mean, I'd have taken the hat off at least just to like not look
Disguise.
like the
Not look like the
like the
picture.
picture.
Be
yeah.
like, hey man, trade hats,
Yeah, I
trade
I mean,
skis.
that's what I was typing in our chat when we were watching this. To say
Yeah.
he needs to shave his head, put a
Yeah.
headband on, and draw a mustache on his face.
No one knows what he looks
know,
like without that hat
I
on.
know, right? I don't know why they
Yeah, all the white people think that Asians all look alike. So
Yeah.
like all he needed to do was
true.
take the hat off,
take the hat off and like
and like just change his appearance.
take a piece of his hair and tape it to his lip. And be like, not me.
Yeah. Use that disguise that Lee Yong used
I've
at the
never
Fun Guys
even-
place.
Glasses.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of the name Jacob on anyone before.
Yeah.
Jacob, that's not a Chinese name.
We can all agree that Jacob made some mistakes.
Yeah.
Is your name
Mistakes were
Jacob?
made.
Is your name Jacob?
No.
Oh no, it's a hop sing.
Is your name
know?
Jacob? Yeah. No,
Jacob.
it is not.
That's a very strange
It's-
name. That's not a Chinese name. John Wang Shun.
Not gonna answer to Jacob.
Yeah.
So the next thing that happens is once he does get caught, and actually, okay, so he goes to Chow.
Yeah.
And he's like, please help me. And
Yeah.
Chow's like, yeah, sure, if you got enough freaking
No, it's
cheddar.
not what he said.
I know,
he
I'm
said,
just joking.
He said, no,
Yeah.
fuck you, get out of my store.
And then he showed him a wad of
And he goes,
cash.
oh.
And he's like, all right.
You can't pay me enough to get involved with this.
Hop into my dead man coffin.
And he's like, have you done this before? He's like, a lot. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Chow's really good at smuggling people out of San Francisco.
Yeah,
Apparently.
in a coffin, which is weird.
With dead people.
Can you imagine being stuck in a boat for like a day and a half in a coffin?
It's a bunch of smelly corpses.
Tyrion Lannister did it.
I know, right? So immediately immediately Jacob gets captured by Bill. And he's like, well, he doesn't look dead, does he? and like
Not yet.
Yeah, and then you pan out to you see Chow going, God damn it.
Yeah.
It just feels so dirty. Because he did that guy real dirty.
Well, left to his own devices, Chow would have like let him go. But,
This was really Mai Ling.
Mai Ling forced Chow to basically give up
Yeah.
Jacob's whereabouts.
to stop the violence, essentially.
Also, because Buckley was like, I'm going to fuck with you unless you find him.
Find my guy.
Well, she made that deal with Buckley where basically like if I deliver Jacob to you, you give me the police to help take out my enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Mai Ling just thought that she was upholding her end of the bargain.
Yeah.
But she ends up getting a little bit more than she bargained.
And
for.
then
Yeah.
the police proceed to make an even bigger mistake.
Well, the Irishmen do have that really huge bar where they all hang out
At the Banshee?
literally right outside the gates of Chinatown.
Let's roll this
for
guy
some
past
reason.
that Irish bar.
Let's put him in a giant, unmistakable
Yeah, yeah.
paddy wagon
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drive him across the freaking town
They
in front
stole
of
their
everybody.
No, they
horses.
didn't drive across town. They literally drive out the gates of Chinatown and turn a corner. That's all it is. And if it's not, then it needs to be explained better in this show because they get pissed. They go through all the stuff with Jacob, and then they go, and they
Yeah.
grab their sticks and they walk for 2 minutes, and they go into Chinatown. They're literally right next to each other.
Yeah, it's not
How
that
big
big.
do you think
It's a
this
couple
place
blocks.
is?
It's not big at all.
Well, I
Yeah.
also think Bill feels like the Irishmen respect him enough as
Yeah.
like a police hero that he wasn't expecting that type of trouble.
Yeah, but like, just why the big wagon with the horses and all that? Like, just
It's the paddy wagon.
it's
It's what you
one
put prisoners
dude.
in.
Normally,
one guy.
they don't have different cars sizes for
No,
one
but-
dude versus an Irish mob.
I mean, just-
and it's called a paddy wagon because of the Irish.
I know that.
It
I
was
know
a
where
little
the
bit
paddy
much.
wagon.
So
thing comes
normally
from.
they have more people in that wagon.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's one guy. Just handcuff him and like walk him subtly, quietly to wherever
I think
they're
they
going.
thought that they were protecting him by having him
Ugh.
hooked to horses up on wheels.
I mean, yeah, it was a little bit much. Those Irish, they really look, man.
They went hard on Jacob.
yeah,
This
think.
was. I felt like this show went really hard on how shitty white Irish people are. I did not.
Mobs
I thought it
are
was- I thought
mobs
it
are
was a bit
fickle
much.
things.
Yeah,
dude.
but I think that a lot of this was also based off of like actual historical
Yeah.
Yeah.
like accounts from the time. Like I do
Okay.
believe that there were like
I'm not-
drunk white Irish guys
not
who were like
doubting that.
like
It just
lynching Asian people.
So
seemed
what are
a
you
bit
saying?
extreme. It seemed a bit extreme.
Yeah, there's shitty things
Yeah,
happen
yeah.
for sure. Mobs
I
are
get it.
crazy. Mobs go nuts, and once you get that thing riled up, it's
Uh-huh.
like this perpetual motion machine that just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, the
So they
cra-
run into a wall of Chinese ninjas.
yeah.
well, the crazy thing was how like the Irishmen like started beating on the cops, and the
Yeah.
cops were like they couldn't believe it was happening, and at the same time, like when some of the cops were about to defend themselves with their revolvers, Bill was like, "Don't kill any of our own."
Yeah.
But that same sentiment didn't seem to be on the mob mentality.
no, they didn't care.
Well, I think they just wanted to like beat through the police in order to get to Jacob, but Lee isn't one of them. Lee is from the South. Fuck
Yeah.
Lee.
yeah, they didn't care about Lee.
Yeah.
But Lee was on a mountain of dicks by himself. He was out there. He was like, I'm going after these guys. And
I'm
he
having a
gets up-
hard time being a Lee fan.
Why?
Because he's just like, because it doesn't let anything go. Like, pick your fucking battles, Lee.
No.
You sound like Bill.
Yeah. Bill's like, you self-righteous prick. Where are
Yeah.
you going?
Yeah.
So they capture poor Jacob. We just have to cover this. This was hard to watch.
Yeah.
This
Oh
was
my
really hard to
God.
watch. Like, as hard as it was to watch the brothel scene, the terrible brothel scene from the last episode, maybe episode 7 or something, with a toy. This was worse. Like watching them
Well, we get a
grab him.
close up of them murdering a guy.
Yeah, drag
And
him
him
out.
screaming for someone to help him.
And I thought, there's a minute there where I thought Leary was going to come out and like stop it. Like, oh, he's going to punch what's that main dude who started the whole thing? They kept saying his name.
Tibbet?
Tibbet or something like that.
Something like that.
I thought Leary was going to come out and like, throw his dick on the table and stop it before it escalated too far. And he got out there and he got railroaded too. And he backed off and he's like, well, I got to
Well, then
save
he
myself.
sees Sophie, and
yeah.
he's like,
Well,
like,
Sophie's-
I can only save one.
First of all, the guy that punched Sophie out, hero. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Second of all, like
yeah, give
like,
that guy his own show.
Yeah. Second of all, like when Leary comes out and rescues Sophie and brings her into the bar, and then she starts like giving him like the lip about
Oh.
like this is your fault. He's like, what the fuck?
He's like, my fault. She's like, he's hanging right outside your bar.
bar.
And he's like, I just own a bar, lady.
Yeah. And then like he kicks her out. He's
He's like, I was with you.
yeah. He's like, go back to your privileged existence, you
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah.
When are we in 1877?
1878, yeah,
Because
76, 78.
they must be referencing the San Francisco riot of 1877.
Oh,
then.
interesting.
I'm looking things up. The San Francisco riot of 1877, you guys are going to like this, was a 3-day program waged against Chinese immigrants in San Francisco,
Wow.
California, by the city's majority white population, those white devils, on the evening of July 23rd through the night of July 25th, 1877.
Wow.
Wow.
The ethnic violence that swept Chinatown resulted in
What?
4 deaths,
Okay.
not 47.
Well, it's a TV show.
and the destruction of more than $100,000 worth of property belonging to the Chinese immigrant
Wow.
population.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I mean,
What started it?
I mean,
Does it say?
didn't Young June take out 4 people on his own?
Oh, easily.
With his nunchucks?
Yeah. No, that
No,
was
no,
that was
that was
awesome.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Young June had the knives.
Yeah.
He was
And
slicing
they got photos and stuff in here. Pretty dope.
photos. Really? Oh, that's cool. History lesson here on the Salt and Air podcast.
Awesome.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so Jacob gets strung up, which was super sad, and it was very like they made it super dramatic for a good reason.
I mean,
Yeah.
because that is a dramatic thing.
Well,
So
in the behind the scenes featurette at the end of the episode, the actors talked about how like when they were filming that scene, like the stuntmen like actually like had like this really realistic rig in which they hung the actor up by, and it looked like they were actually lynching him.
and you hear so many stories about like when actors have to perform scenes like this, and they were actually choking, but everyone thought they were acting,
Brendan
and then the
Fraser.
actor.
yeah, Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser
Oh
and
my god!
Mummy.
Every time I see something like this, I have like a little bit of a.
Yeah.
Is that actor okay?
Yeah, but I feel like the show has like way better stunt crew than the Mummy did.
the 1999 Mummy.
Yeah.
But the actors all talked about like as they were like watching it happen, like shooting the scene, they were like, man, it just made me feel icky.
Yeah.
Like, it was like so disturbing.
Well, watching it was rough too. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, because that shit happened.
Yeah.
Like 100% that's happened, and it's just it was so realistic in the take of like what happens when you get a mob stirred up and they target their anger at like one person. Like it's just it's unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
It's crazy. And then so the mob lynches poor Jacob, and then they're like, let's go to Chinatown and take it to him or whatever. And then they all run off, and Big Dick Lee is like, ride or die, baby. Ride or die.
Here's a quick little history lesson.
Oh, yeah? What's up?
On July 23rd, the anti-Chinese riots started when 8,000 people gathered in the vacant sandlot in front of City Hall for another labor gathering. It didn't take long before it devolved into a racist mob. Everything was orderly until an anti-coolie procession pushed its way into the audience and insisted that the speaker say something about the Chinese. Historian Selig Perlman wrote, in the anti-Chinese agitation in California, this was refused, and thereupon the crowd, which had gathered on the outskirts of the meeting, attacked a passing Chinaman and started the cry, "On to Chinatown!"
So this is
Along the way, the mob destroyed property, burned Chinese laundries, and threatened all challengers. The police were next to useless.
Wow. So
there you have
that's
it.
what they're arrested. Yeah.
That's
it.
probably
That's what this
Trop-
episode's
Tropper
about.
got his history lesson and said, how can we make this more interesting?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I
And
like it.
he succeeded.
That's cool.
Because can we talk about like so first of all, the Irish are marching on Chinatown, and the first people who see them are Chow and Mai Ling, and it's while Mai Ling is saying like Chow, this is gonna be okay.
Yeah, she's like, we did a great thing for Chinatown. Oh, shit.
He's like, we need to get off the freaking streets. Let's go. And he runs over to a toys place. And
And she's so ungrateful. She's like, you brought me to a brothel. And he's like, then fucking leave.
Yeah, go outside. Go ahead.
Because there were so many choices.
The door's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like when they get to Atoy's place, they find that Atoy is like on the mend, but she's in real bad
She
shape.
is mangled.
Yeah, and Mai Ling, who's had like a weird kind of like, antagonistic relationship with Atoy, is basically like, okay, I got some medical training, like I can help you.
We get a little bit more of her backstory, too.
Yeah. And as Mai Ling's helping to basically sew up Atoy's wounds, some Irishmen try breaking into the brothel, and we get Chow and nameless Atoy bodyguard.
Dude, he's a badass, though.
Yeah.
I have no idea who he is, but he was like...
Well, he's been in the show like previously, but he just never had any lines. He's just a really big Asian guy.
He still doesn't have any lines, but he
Yeah.
did kick ass,
yeah,
which was
and
cool.
so
He
did,
speaks
so
with
did
his
Chow.
fists.
Chow did all right.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how to fight. This guy seemed like he knew some moves. Like he had some tactics.
I mean,
to him.
Chow can fight, but not like,
Not like
he's not
awesome.
in a tong.
Yeah,
He just
no.
can take care of himself.
Yeah, I mean, like he used his Derringer again. He shot a couple guys, then he used a knife and like stabbed a dude multiple times.
Yeah.
Gut, yeah.
Yeah. So like he was down there defending, the brothel and stuff like that, while Mai Ling and Atoy were basically bonding upstairs during the medical procedure, like whatever.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see like how Mai Ling and Atoy kind of like put their differences aside, if ever so briefly.
And speaking of that, Sahm and Leary.
Well, we're gonna
get
that in a
there.
sec.
What a freaking team up that is.
Yeah.
So the brothel gets attacked, but Chow and the nameless badass fight off the people and lock the door, and then we kind of get that's like settled. They're locked in. They're safe.
Interesting stuff.
And
He's still reading.
no,
It's fascinating. I put a link to the article I was reading in our Discord.
I see that. Yeah, right on. Cool. Go to saltinerdiscord.com to find that link.
Yeah.
And then, like, as that's going on, Bill and the Chinatown squad are still following Lee, as Lee is basically like fighting like the Irish, trying to stop them from killing like
Bill
all the
stands there
Asian
for a
guys.
while and he's like, follow Lee, save myself, get some help. Fuck, what do I do?
Yeah, but there are a couple times where basically so Lee comes across like the guy who instigated the whole thing, and that guy, I forget his name, Timmons,
Tibbins or something like that.
Timmy.
Yeah,
I'll just call him Timmy. So Timmy comes across Big Dick Lee, and he's like your dick ain't so big. Yeah. and then he's like
verbatim.
he's like, how dare you turn on your own kind? And
Yeah.
like he starts beating on Lee, and Lee just takes out his gun and fucking shoots
Yeah.
him
Shoots
like
him.
5 times.
Dude, a bunch.
Oh
But I
my
mean,
God, he shoots him a lot.
But that's after he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Because like the dude's like pounding on him pretty hard,
Yeah.
and he finally was like, I just had enough of this, and he just pop, pop, pop,
Yeah.
pop, and he shoots him until he's down, and then once he's down, he shoots him a couple more times, and I was like,
He's like, I already got beat to death once in this
right?
show.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna shoot you now.
Big Dick Lee is taking no prisoners in this episode.
But the thing I like about Lee is like he actually has a sense of right and wrong and justice, right? Where he's like, look, these guys are hurting innocent people. It doesn't matter like what the color of their skin is. Like this is wrong. I'm gonna be on the side of right.
Yeah.
Right.
And in a way, like his involvement kind of like inspires the rest of the Chinatown squad to actually like try and do something at least. So
My favorite scene in this entire episode
Yeah.
is when in the middle of the fight we finally get to the Tongs, right?
Uh-huh.
And Awesome's standing there, and Young June is standing there, and his boys are all standing there next to him. And then it comes along
Lee Young.
Lee
Lee
Young.
Young and his
Yeah.
boys, and they stand next to.
And they just kind of like nod
they
at
just
each
kind of look
other.
at each other.
And they're like, let's go.
Oh, I
Let's
love-
get these motherfuckers.
I love when Young June said, because like Assam's like, what do you want to do? And he's
Yeah.
like, well, but tell you what, something like,
We live in their world,
but
but
they're
now
gonna
they're gonna
die in ours.
I was
Oh,
like,
That's a great line.
yes.
well, before that, Young June was kind of like, well, if we scrap with these guys, they're going to send in the army
Yeah.
the next day and
Yep.
take us out. And Assam's like, well, if we don't scrap, they're going to destroy everything and then send in the army.
yeah, yeah.
He's right.
It's lose-lose. We might as well go down fighting.
But this was like the best scene in the entire episode because like you said, the Tongs put aside their differences, come together. You have enemies who are just kind of like, yep, this is happening.
This is
Yeah,
it.
and
Yeah.
Mylene says the same thing with a toy, and
Yeah.
she's like, all that matters today is that we're Chinese and they're not,
Yep.
and we'll put our differences aside and fight
It's a
for our own people.
it's a pretty interesting parallel to the real world to me. You know, we all have our people we hate and that we dislike and don't get along with, but if something threatens us, we all come together really quick.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know a lot
People,
of
it's real. Our human beings are so trivial about their differences
Yeah.
with each other, but then when something really big happens, those things disappear real quick.
Yeah.
And then,
Anytime
like,
there's like a major tragedy,
Yeah.
the trolls kind of like chill out for a couple of
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
and then once everyone has recuperated emotionally a little bit, the trolls are like,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it was also great to like see like so the Tongs all merged together, and as the Irish are coming down Main Street, they start the Tongs start charging at them, and we have this great Gangs of New York moment where basically the armies like clash, and we see for the first time Awesome and Lee Young
Fight together. What a badass scene.
So
I was
cool.
glued to the screen. I'm just like, what are they gonna do next? They're
Yeah.
like flipping off of each other and
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so freaking
They're,
cool.
like Assam is like flipping up and grabbing dudes by the neck with his feet.
Yeah, they don't call him Awesome for nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Like in the middle of this, I just turned to Matt. I was like, Andrew Koji's so cool.
He's so cool, right?
He was amazing. And there's a scene in here where basically like Awesome gets his hands on some nunchucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he turns to the guy who was using them and he's like, can I have these? And the guy's like, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Andrew Koji talked about how like before he shot that scene, he'd never used nunchucks before, and he had to like go through like a crash course in training. And he was like, yeah, when you hit yourself with those things, they hurt.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I don't understand how those work because it seems like when you're swinging them around and you stop it like underneath your armpit, like are you hitting yourself
Yeah.
when you do that?
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand nunchucks.
But
I really don't.
The whole thing, one of the interesting things about this episode, so it's called Enter the Dragon. And that, of course, is a reference to,
JCVD.
to the Bruce Lee movie. But
Chopper's like,
yeah.
God damn it, Jude.
But so like this is the first time I think this season at least where the title of the episode was not mentioned during like the episode. 'Cause it's usually like a line of dialogue.
Yep.
But in Enter the Dragon, one of the most famous scenes in that is when Bruce Lee like whips out the nunchucks and starts like doing that.
Yep.
And I think that was the first time like on screen for like an American movie that like, nunchucks were used. Because I think Bruce Lee kind of
Popularized them.
not popularized, but like introduced the idea of nunchucks or whatever. And Andrew Koji, like every time he was using those, like he was taking on like 4 or 5 guys at a time.
That scene where, I can't remember
He
exactly
was
what he
fighting
does.
people behind him.
But he like whacked somebody's hand that had like a gun or some kind of a weapon, and he caught his nunchuck, and then he looked and he was like, huh? And then he hit him on the head or something. It was so wild.
There's no M in nunchucks.
Nunchucks?
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
Thank you. That was bothering me.
It's bothering the shit out of me. Nunchucks.
Technically, it's nunchaku. But,
I know, but
I'm going to Americanize it.
You guys are both saying it wrong.
But the great, like Andrew Koji hit so many like fantastic BruceLee poses in these scenes.
Yeah.
And that scene where he just like kind of like, like motions for them to kind of take him
so
on.
good. So much
And then
fun.
you got all these guys up in like the rafters, like watching him, like,
that was great.
kick ass.
Dude, that one dude had like just the biggest shit-eating grin on his face the whole time. He's like, "This is freaking awesome."
But the second best scene is when Young Jun is basically like murdering all these guys in a Chinese laundry, and one guy gets the drop on him, and he's about to kill him, and then Father Jun swoops in and rescues his son.
I was worried there for a second because I was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna freaking kill Young Jun!" Like that'd be wild.
Yeah,
like he
but-
just takes over and he gets like
Like when Father
destroyed.
Jun showed up, Jude and I cheered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when young June is like, you shouldn't be here. And Father June's like, bet you're
I bet
glad I am. though."
yeah, that was a great line. Such a dad thing to say
Yes.
too.
Yeah. Oh, and Father Jun was just loving the murder.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He was like, makes me feel young again.
Yeah, what did he say? I think it's the next episode. He was talking to Chow, and he's like, "Man, it feels great to scrap again." It was so. He's like, "I feel like a 25-year-old, itchy as fuck." I love it, man. Father June's dope. Gosh, okay,
Not a great
so,
father, but
well, I mean, like he's a really cool character.
yeah.
I love his character. So the huge fight ensues. It's a bloodbath. One scene in particular that I want to point out that I don't know who I can't remember who directed this episode. But there's this scene that just broke my heart because I have a freaking kid and I have 3 of them.
When the little girl is
The
standing
little girl
there.
is standing
I
in the, and I
know.
was like, and like her dad or I can't remember if it was a mom or a dad.
I think it
but
was her mom.
Her mom was like dead in the street, and the little baby's just standing there like staring at her. Like I'm like,
You just send her to the vineyard.
oh my god, slave labor, plow the fields.
They would send her to the vineyard.
She's about to become a sommelier.
Oh, it was so bad. That made my heart sink. And I was just like, I was waiting for like Awesome or Young Jun to like swoop in and grab the kid and like take him someplace safe or something like that, but that never happened. So
Yeah.
One of the crazy things about this episode is basically in the behind the scenes featurette that I watched after the episode was over, they talked about how they didn't like block out any of this stuff during the riot because basically they just set the actors loose and actually had them like destroying the sets. And so like they weren't like resetting stuff. They were just kind of like filming as they went.
Whoa.
And they were basically like, yeah, we were basically destroying all of our sets. So we only had one take at this.
Makes it look real.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it does. I mean, shout out to the actors too. Like being able to do stunts like that and like throw punches that look real but aren't connecting. Like that's
Usually when you have a
talent.
scene like that, you're gonna have like your Braveheart moments. We're just gonna
Oh,
be
there's
like
gonna be 2 guys in the background just going like this.
It's like, but you don't really see that.
No, you don't see that at all. It's pretty wild.
It's like, this is a sword.
Shout out to Charlie for pointing that out to me, for ruining Braveheart.
Oh, you hadn't seen that before?
Not before he told me about it. No.
Really?
Yeah.
I noticed that like immediately.
No.
Back in the theatrical release. But yeah.
And
good
then,
stuff.
and then the police get reinforcements and they're finally able to stop the rioting.
Police get up on their horses.
Yeah.
Finally, yeah.
And
And they
come
just kind of
running in.
stand there.
Yeah, and the episode ends with basically Awesome, Young Jun, Hong, and
A couple of others.
couple other Hopway going to reclaim Jacob's body, and they go down to the Banshee, and all the Irishmen are like standing out there, and Bill comes out with a shotgun, and he's like, "This shit just stopped.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you start up again." And they're like, "We're here for Jacob."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, make it quick."
Yeah, and everybody's like, yeah, good. We didn't want to have to take him down anyway.
Yeah, but
Well,
but
none of
then-
the Irish guys were going to take him.
No.
Yeah, but then as they're carrying Jacob's body away, Dennis Leary comes out and gives Awesome the stink eye, and they have like this great like kind of like fuck you eye
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
as Awesome's walking away, and that's where the episode ends, and you're just like, oh
Yeah.
shit's about to go down.
It's like fuck me eyes, but for violence.
Fuck around and
it's
find
like
out.
fight me eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I'm like, I don't remember Hong fighting very much in this episode, but we just saw a clip of it there. So I'm glad he was prominent.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad he
They all
got some
play-
murders in too.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, it was a like choreograph and fight scene stuff. This is a huge payoff for the whole season.
The actor who plays Lee Yong, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but he in an interview at the featurette, he talks about, like, yeah, all these guys are running around like fighting each other with weapons, and he's like, except Lee Yong, he's like, this is my weapon. Just holds up his fist.
Of course, because he's a freaking badass. I love it.
Like there was a scene where when he was fighting Zing a couple episodes ago, when the fun guys all get murdered, and I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the episode, but there's a scene where like he like punches Zing away from him, and then he just kind of like fixes his shirt, like he just like kind of tugs on his shirt, and then like gets into his like fighting stance. I was like, man, that's so cool.
So that was a huge episode. Not like plot wise, not a lot happened.
Well, there was 2 seasons of build up.
But there's a lot of build up for that Gangs of New York, and it's really cool to find out that it was like legitimately based off of something that happened, because I got a lot of from the LA riots. Remember the LA riots in the 90s or something like that? Do you remember the videos of that? Like
I remember them.
I've only seen videos, but I've seen like videos of that, of like shopkeepers like defending their stores and stuff like that. I'm like, this is like a reoccurring thing. Humans are just trash.
Yeah.
It's just like constantly, like every 10 years or so, we just go destroy our own houses.
Yeah, that was a race riot too in California.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. Humanity sucks. But
I mean, can't we all just get along?
No.
Maybe we should go back to that Superman movie where you're just gonna like blow off the entire state and rename it something else.
I've been saying we should do that.
Are we
for a
the
long
evil
time.
geniuses?
Let's build a giant fence around California.
What was Luther's henchman name?
Borges?
Otis.
Otisburg. Yeah.
Otisburg. Yeah.
Otisburg. Well, she got the name hers.
Yeah, a little island that you break off.
Perfect. All right. That's it for episode 9. We're going to be
the penultimate episode.
Oh, drink. Cheers.
Nope, not doing it.
Before we move on to episode 10, the season finale, I'd like to remind you guys that if you would want to support us here at the podcast, you can go to saltynerdclub.com. We have an exclusive lineup in our library of things that we've done, we've recorded, shows that we've talked about that are only available on Patreon. So if you're interested in helping us out, I promise you it's worth the money. You guys will get a huge value and help support us, put food on our table, keep our lights on, all those cool things. So head over to saltynerdclub.com, help support the podcast, and stay tuned for more Warrior content. We are covering season 3 episode by episode once it drops on June 29th. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell notification thing, and hang out with us. All right, Jude.
Okay.
Episode 10. Take it away.
Season 2, episode 10, Man on the Wall. Sahm is Asian Jesus, and a toy couldn't be prouder of him. Lee turns in his badge and gun. Bill tries to get him to change his mind and stay. Both end up drinking their sorrows away in separate bars. Bill in the Banshee, and Lee with the barmaid that tried to swindle him. Father and young June have a heart-to-heart, and Father June actually delivers some fatherly advice before leaving San Francisco and heading back to China. Buckley comes out hard against the dangers of treating the Chinese gently. Penny shows up to confront him and is dismissed with ease. A toy's brothel is no Disneyland. Everyone's still getting their fuck on, but sad. Nellie shows up to relieve Sahm of his nursing duty and tend to a toy. Mai Ling treats with the hop way, and when young June doesn't immediately open his arms to her, Mai Ling drops the news about her relationship with Sahm. Mike drops and walks the fuck out, leaving the 3 best friends to deal with her bombshell. Penny tries to sell her story to a reporter, but that guy reports to Buckley too, and Penny's shit out of luck in the Justice for Jacob department. Sahm pops into the Banshee for a drink and some trouble, and he and Leary have a chat and then step out back for a brawl. Sahm delivers the 5-point exploding heart technique and tells the Irish to stay the fuck out of Chinatown or he'll be back with an army. Penny's back in Buckley's office with more threats of violence, and Buckley frames her as an unhinged woman, while Penny just stands there yelling, "He stabbed himself!" When Penny awakes, she's chained to the bed of a mental hospital. To celebrate, Buckley heads to the red-headed hooker part of town, but is greeted by Mai Ling with her leverage. Just as he's about to execute Mai Ling's plan to shut down the Hop Way, Leary upstages Buckley at the council meeting. When Bill arrives home, he finds Lucy there and begs her to come back with the children to stay. And over at Azkaban prison, Zing is about to break out. Discuss.
Alcatraz.
Yeah. a lot happened. This is a big tie-up for a lot of these things and a bunch of loose threads that I'm like dying to know
Thank
what
God
happened.
we're getting another season.
Oh my gosh, I can't. If I had watched this show as it was coming out back a couple of years ago, I would have been up a wall when I found out it got canceled.
Didn't Tropper say that there was actually like 4 or 5 seasons mapped
I'm
out?
sure he's got more. Yeah. I'm that's why I'm hoping that whatever little help we can be.
What was the impetus for this being canceled so abruptly? Was it COVID or something? Or
No, it was canceled before COVID happened. It was just Cinemax was just cheap. they didn't want to give him money for it.
Was this always on? It was always on HBO, right?
Well, it was a Cinemax original, but then when it came on HBO Max during like lockdown, it kind of found some new life. Like a lot of people started watching it, and so those ratings, I guess, kind of
signaled to HBO that we should
Let's throw some money at this show.
Let's give this guy another chance. Yeah, I'm glad they did.
I'm glad.
And like the show's shot in South Africa, I believe. So like it's a little bit cheaper to do down there, but the quality of this show is amazing. It's a period piece. It's wall to wall action. Like the stunt work is phenomenal. The acting is so good. The cinematography is fantastic. You know, we kind of joked around with Michael Snyman, the cinematographer on season 2, for the show being a little bit too dark and like muted and stuff like that. This show does not have that problem at all.
No, I mean for a time period where there's no lights except for like candles in most of the shots, like they do a fantastic job.
And even when things are ugly, it's still a beautiful shot.
Yeah, but Sahm became the hero of Chinatown, and they painted a mural.
That mural got up there really fast.
The guy standing up on that balcony, we're like, you know what we should do?
Yeah.
While everybody's fighting,
graffiti.
Go get some paint.
Yeah. So to answer that, if you notice, I think there's a line.
It was the next morning.
No, there's a line of dialogue.
It's 2 days.
It's been 2 days since that happened.
It was
48
2
hours.
days.
48 hours.
Yeah.
That's not long.
You can paint a mural in 48 hours.
Can you?
They're all like
They don't have
sitting on
cell
each other's
phones.
shoulders. Where they all have paintbrushes.
And that line that Awesome has about like the nose is wrong, like that was actually Andrew Koji, where when he was looking at it, he's like, my nose doesn't look like that. So I think that was an ad lib.
That's funny. It was good. And then Atoy takes a step out of her brothel for a few minutes to say hi to everybody, and she looks rough.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What?
There's one thing I noticed about her. It's like when she was in the last episode, when she was up there with Mylene, and she's
sewing her shoulder back together.
It's like her eyes. She is so concussed.
Yeah.
Okay, that her eyeball is literally up on this side, on this eye, and this eyeball is looking this way.
Yeah.
She is fucked up.
Yeah.
She should be dead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next day,
No.
she's
48 hours later.
Okay. She
has magic opium. Don't forget.
She's everything's good. As far as her eyes go, she would. I'm sorry. I did not buy her being able to walk around the streets of Chinatown.
I had a concussion once and I was fucked up for a year.
It was funny because like Awesome is kind of like attending to her on her recovery, and then like her lesbian lover Davenport comes in.
The way you say that
starts doing the sexual
never
healing
fails to
on
give
her.
me the cringe.
And Awesome's just like, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay, I'm out.
He's like, whoa, white lady, can I help you?
Oh, I
and
love
she's
it.
like,
you speak English? And he's like, well, you're butchering my language, so I might as well.
It's just the most unnecessary relationship in this whole show.
I'm
wait,
with you,
did
dude.
you
It's so
see
fucking
what
dumb.
the subtitles said when she was trying to
it's just
speak?
Nonsense.
Yeah.
It was nonsense. Blood? Is everything excuse me? And I'm like,
The cheese is old and moldy.
I'm with you though. I do not buy the relationship between Davenport and
even for a
Atoy.
second.
Last episode or whatever episode it was when the two assassins came and Atoy was like, "Get out, white lady! You don't belong here." I was like, "Thank God."
Thank you.
Oh, so glad to be rid of her. And then she pops up in this episode and they're all like, "Oh, I love you so much." And I'm like,
Listen, I don't care who you are, but if you have land in wine country, I'm gonna eat that pussy.
Jude makes a good point.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Not safe for work. I'm with Vader. I do not buy the relationship. It's not that I care that they're lesbians. Whatever. There's tons of gay people, lesbians all over this show. It doesn't really matter.
Francisco.
It's just, yeah.
It started early.
It just, for me, I just don't buy it. I don't buy their love interest in each other. I'm not convinced, I guess. I don't know what would make me
Listen,
convinced of
it
it.
is not up to two gay women to convince you.
Sure, fair enough. I'm just saying.
It's up to the writers to convince us why this is a thing.
I was being sarcastic.
I know, but it doesn't make sense. This relationship, it kind of annoys me. There's things in this show that teeter on dynasty level bullshit soap opera stuff. that kind of drives me crazy. The whole storyline with the mayor and the blonde chick, the wife,
Penny?
Penny. I can't stand it.
Well, you don't have to deal with that
the
anymore.
whole thing where he's like stabbing himself, and she and she wakes up in the mental asylum.
No, listen, dude, that
shit happened.
Yeah,
100%
that happened. No, it's not dumb. It's dumb. That's real.
It's not real.
Yes, it is.
I want a time machine so bad just so I can show Vader.
Dude,
this shit happened.
It's not about it happening. I feel like
it's just
like
silly.
Penny was especially annoying with how like she kept like doing the like you talked about wrong choices in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Everything Penny did in this episode was like the
horrible
wrong
decision.
choice.
And she thinks she's so untouchable.
She's literally made me think, gone from me thinking like Mai Ling is the dumbest bitch in the world to actually kind of liking Mai Ling to putting that title on Penny.
Penny makes
she
a
is
lot
dumb
of bad
as a
decisions.
fucking rock right now.
A
It
lot
is
of bad decisions.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. Maybe they just don't know what to do with her at this point.
It's
They're
like the mayor goes, "You just inherited the mayor's fortune.
Yeah,
Be
be happy.
Go
Dude,
fuck off now."
I'll tell you what.
It was what she should have done.
I hate Buckley. I think he's my most hated character in the show. Buckley drives me insane. He's creepy. He's weird, and he's manipulative, and he's terrible. But in that scene,
He's correct.
He's 100% right.
100%
It's
correct.
like, Penny, you hated your husband. He's dead. You're rich. Go away.
Yeah.
Yes.
worry
She
about
wants
your shit
justice
anymore.
for Jacob.
Find another way.
You know how
Find
she
another
should
way.
get that? By murdering her sister.
She should go down,
She should
right?
she should join forces with Davenport to try to help the Asian community.
Or go hook back up with Awesome and be like, look, these guys murdered Jacob.
Yeah.
Because you know Awesome's going to get revenge for that.
Hell yeah.
She needs to team up with Awesome again. They have a relationship. It was on the rocks a little bit, but fix that. Mend the bridge. Team up with Awesome.
She's
and
still
get some-
mad about her halfway
She's
filled
mad about
factory.
everything.
It's just-
she stays mad. She's just like Big Dick Lee.
She's another person who needs to pick her battles.
Yes,
I just don't
yes.
like it when these shows go down that Dallas Dynasty rat hole soap opera bullshit. I fucking hate it. It's like, make it cool. Don't
This
make it a soap
this
opera.
show's the freaking coolest thing on
It
TV.
is. It
There's
is.
plenty of fight scenes to make up for it.
Speaking of relationships, so we got the bromance breakup between Big Dick and Big Bill on this one, where Lee comes in, hands in his gun and badge, and says like, "I'm through being a cop," and Bill's like, "No, please, like, come back."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Don't go.
But you complete me in our, buddy cop duo.
Yeah, it's funny because like basically Riggs and Murtaugh break up in this
Yeah.
episode.
And there's no question he's going to come back.
Of course he is.
It's like, you're a cop. You're a cop, Lee.
He's
I
gonna
guess I'm
open
go
a
find
bar
out.
with his new gal.
The cool thing about this episode was like we had like a redemption arc for Bill, right? Where basically Bill gets confronted by Leary about working for the Chinese and how like this was all his fault.
And
Bill,
Leary's like, that debt has to be paid still, don't forget.
yeah, and Bill's like, yeah, I know. And then like he goes home and he finds that his wife has returned, and his storyline basically ends with him saying like, I want to be a better man.
Yeah.
And so like what Lee did actually affected Bill. Like it made him want to be more like Lee. Whereas Lee is at the point where like he's now becoming more like Bill.
Yeah.
And it's kind
He's in
of
full fuck it mode.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Especially with that chick. She's gorgeous, by the way.
She is.
So I get it.
Yeah, but she roofied him and robbed him.
Yeah, but
and
there's-
he's just like,
again-
you know who I have a hankering for?
Makes no sense.
No, it does.
No, it
it
doesn't.
absolutely does, because he fell in love with the woman back in the South, and she
Yes.
died. So obviously he's got a type, just like a lot of the people in the show do. He goes back to her. She roofied him the first time, but then he went back and he got his money back, and he threw his dick on the table. And there's like some mutual respect there. We're like, okay, I won't fuck with you. You don't fuck with me. I get it. I get.
But I
why,
won't fuck you.
I get why he went back 100%. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, he's in full I don't care about life mode. He wants to just go do whatever makes him feel the best in the moment. He wants to get away from the drama of the cops and of Bill and all this nonsense. Yeah, I totally bought it. I was like, yep, he's going to go there and he's going to go hang out and he's going to make a new crew and he's going to have the little Big Dick Lee gang or whatever. And I'm like, sure, I got it. Great sex scene, by the way. Fantastic.
Yeah, I like the ending of both of Bill and Lee's storylines, and we were getting a lot of like really good like kind of tie-ups for this episode and this season. We got to see what the leverage Mai Ling found on Buckley was.
Ooh, the photograph.
Yeah,
Well, we were commenting on that the last
Yeah,
episode.
It was a little meh for me.
Yeah,
Really?
me too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a Confederate soldier.
I was like,
Yeah,
do people really care?
They did care. So like basically he fought for the Confederacy, and it was a picture of him with his Confederate compatriots with a big Confederate flag. And I had theorized that it had to do with like his wife being Asian or something like that.
Yeah.
But in a way, like this is worse because basically, like for a politician, you fought for the losing side, and there's a lot of resentment against the Confederacy.
How much time has passed between that war and like where we're at?
Like 15 years, 10 or 15
Okay.
years. Because the Civil War ended in 1864, I believe, 63
Okay.
or 64. And then this is 1876.
Okay.
So it's about a little over 10 years.
But
so
like a lot of these guys fought in the war. Like Bill fought in the war.
Yeah.
I think Leary fought in the war. A lot of the Irishmen did.
I'm sure Big Dick fought in the war too.
Yeah.
He would have.
Big Dick fought on the Confederacy side, and that was one of the reasons why a lot of the police didn't like him. It's because he was like
He was a gray coat.
He was from the South.
Yeah,
He
there's
Okay.
still
It's been 12 years.
12. Okay, there's still a ton of resentment for Confederate people in this time period.
I love that we have Vader just looking up historical facts as we talk about
he's like,
this.
yeah, it's accurate. 12 and a half
he's our
years.
Jamie. He's
Yeah.
just looking stuff up.
Well, we get a lot of people in the chat calling it bullshit. On
Yeah.
our
Well, because-
nonsense comments.
Listen,
Sometimes.
most of the time we're inebriated,
Yeah.
and the other half of the time we don't do enough research. So it's fair.
Yeah. That's an apt description.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally get why that would be a net negative for Buckley. I do think where you're coming from is you're kind of like, well, that was less of a hit than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's going to leverage that into like
I'm
taking
looking
him
at
down.
it as like I'm 200 years later, and I'm like, is that really that big of a deal?
I guess it will be.
Like,
For
there was a war. There were obviously two sides.
Yeah.
Some people from each side are still left over. Now we have this law. Aren't we all better now?
no.
No, I guess that's pretty unrealistic of me.
Yeah, we're people. We suck.
Yeah, we all suck.
But I do agree that it seems like I'm curious to see how they leverage that, because on the face value, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that much of a hit for him to kind of like dodge that bullet. Like, well, yeah, like you said, we all came from somewhere.
Yeah.
I was from the South, and I fought for the army.
That would definitely be a scandal. But the big thing is there's a great scene in here. So we get to see a lot of Buckley in this episode where like he's now the mayor. And so he's now very upfront with his political maneuvering. And there's a great scene where Leary kind of like confronts him outside City Hall, right? Like kind of like catches him as he's leaving. And he tries to like intimidate him. And he's like, man, like
Buckley's like, I'm the scariest motherfucker in this town.
yeah. Buckley's like, you couldn't intimidate me when I was assistant mayor.
Yeah.
What makes you think you can intimidate me now? And this is all kind of like leading towards Leary realizing that he has to start wielding some political power if he wants to actually like make some changes.
his bare knuckle boxing and violence resorts are running out. It's not really effective anymore. He needs to step up his game.
Can't fix everything with your fists.
I know we kind of mentioned Penny already, but I got to talk about this. Like
She's so full of outrage, and she just keeps expecting someone else to get as outraged as her.
Like she goes to like a famous journalist who she's like, I read your column. And I'm like, you didn't know that he's in the pocket? It seems like, come on, lady. And then
Penny's very naive about like how the world of men works.
yeah, I was just like, Jesus, Penny, what are you doing? But I wanted to talk about the ending scene where she confronts Buckley for the final time and slaps him. Like he mentioned something, like we said, he says something that I feel like is, that's pretty accurate. You should probably just go off and do your own thing and figure out a different way.
You're not going to get justice.
Yeah. Find
just
a different way.
home.
Go buy a vineyard.
Find a different way to make yourself feel better. And she like slaps him, and then you can see that anger. Buckley's a freaking weird dude. He gets real upset.
He
Starts
chops
like,
up prostitutes.
oh, I'm pretty sure. You'd think he'd be running out of
I'm
redheads
kind
now.
of upset if she came into my office and slapped me too.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just like, he got really upset.
Well, he
but then
pulls a Fight Club.
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He went full Edward Norton.
Yeah.
He's like starts punching himself and stabs himself in the shoulder. And
What are you doing?
oh my god,
what are you doing?
and then he's like,
And Penny still doesn't get it.
Oh, no.
Like, he's playing 3D chess. Penny.
She's not even
You
playing
better
checkers.
leave.
She comes in and assaults him, and he pulls out his little
Letter
his
opener.
little pen.
Yeah.
And she's all, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Oh my God,
It's like,
Mr.
I'm going to
Buckley.
defend myself, bitch. Get the fuck out of my office. That's what but I mean, he did go crazy, but
Yeah.
it's just,
It was just wild, and then she gets taken away, and then we find out that she wakes up in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were called back in the day. I don't think they were insane asylums. Or
instant.
I don't know.
I
what
think they were called
they
insane
called?
asylums.
Well, they were called asylums.
Asylums. Okay.
Asylums.
And
Yeah.
she's just strapped to a bed in a room filled with other crazy ladies.
You
and
guys
she's
stay here till you're better. Good luck.
Screaming at the top of her lungs, trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
That was uncomfortable to watch because I know, like, if you look at the
it
history,
looked like the repurposed fuck palace set, though.
it was all
Might
white.
have been.
I don't think that place had vaulted ceilings, did it? It just was. It was uncomfortable to watch that scene because you look any kind of history up on insane asylums, the things that they did to people back then was freaking weird. Like they would shove things up your nose and like fiddle with your brain.
Lobotomize.
Dude, it's
Science.
nasty.
Science.
No, not. It's the opposite of science. It's freaking practically like nonsensical witchcraft.
Can we talk about the scene where Mai Ling goes and meets with Young Jun?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So there's a scene where basically Mai Ling wants to parlay with Young Jun, and you'd think after like they teamed up for the riots that Young Jun might be like, okay, like let's set aside some differences and start working together.
He's all about coming out with the power.
Yeah, like he's just like, fuck you, you're weak now, and we're gonna take you down. And once Mai Ling realizes that there's no compromise to be had because she is on the ropes, like she lost like the fun guys.
And
stuff
honestly,
like
if he had given her what she wanted and they teamed up, she would have found a way to fuck him over later.
Yeah,
that.
sure.
yeah, for sure.
I laugh sometimes when I see these scenes like this because Young Jun is like, okay, look, I have 8 guys and you have 6 guys. I'm stronger. That's how big I feel like they portray these Tongs as. It's like they're like just some gangs of like 10, 12 dudes.
There's
No.
thousands.
Yeah.
Well,
I
they
mean,
don't do a very good job
en-
portraying that.
They lose
because
enough people. Like what's the body count for this
I don't know.
season between the two Tongs? It's got to be a couple, like probably over
how-
100.
How, really?
Yeah.
No.
You don't think over 100 people died in this
not at
season?
all. 4 people.
That's nonsense.
Four.
I love that Hong's eating in every scene as well.
I do like, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
every scene he's eating.
When shit goes south and Mei Ling drops the nuclear bomb of like, I just don't want to be at war with my brother anymore.
And Young Jun is like, I'm not your brother.
I'm not your fucking brother. And he's like, oh, he didn't tell you.
I will.
And she's like, this is awkward.
Oh no.
Bye now.
Sorry. Bye.
Yeah. and Lee Yong, as they're leaving, he's like, why didn't you tell me you were going to do that? She's like, I didn't know it until I did it.
I didn't know I was gonna do that. That was a wild card.
We've all had that moment, right?
Yeah.
Where you just like say some shit you
Yeah.
didn't know was in your brain. It's
Oh
like,
yeah. Happened to me
that
recently.
that was a nuclear explosion. All
Whoops.
right.
We'll see how that plays out.
Well,
But
she wanted to take Young Jun's strongest piece off the board, which
Yeah.
was her brother.
Mhm.
And basically, like, she knew that Awesome was the one whispering in Young Jun's ear and making him do all the right moves. And so by trying to take Awesome off the board, Young Jun is at a disadvantage.
Well, we always talk about how Young Jun is kind of a hothead. He doesn't really think through things very often. I think in this particular instance, he was very tempered in his reaction.
He took a little bit of time.
He took some time.
And
He
he,
thought
like,
about it. And he's like,
pros and cons.
Yeah.
And he was
figured
like,
it out.
I
It's
know what I saw.
mm-hmm.
I'm replaying it in my head now. And I feel like what I saw and what I felt and what I know are things that are still
Yeah.
Well,
holding up.
There was a scene where Father June said goodbye to him because he's leaving. And he's basically, because Young Jun was like, oh, well, like, you're back now. And he's like, no. I'm leaving. The Tong's yours now.
Yeah.
And he leaves him with a little bit of fatherly advice where he says, the battles that you don't fight are just as important as the ones you do.
Mhm.
And so in this instance where basically he finds out that his best friend, his brother, his right-hand man basically has been lying to him since the moment they met, he's trying to figure out, okay, like Father June would have killed him just straight off. But the battles that you don't fight are just as important as the ones you do. And so he's basically like, I can forgive him, but I still don't know if I can trust him.
Well,
Yeah.
when he talks to Sahm about this, he's like, I know what I saw. I know what my Link's trying to do. She's trying to manipulate me into getting rid of you, and I'm not going to let her do that, which I thought was really.
But is there any truth to what she's actually trying to do?
But what he called him on was like, she can watch you die. She's a cold hard bitch. But can you watch her die? And Sahm hesitates. He hesitates, and he's like, I don't think you can. And he walks away. And I was like, damn it, freaking Young June is like on top of
and
this.
there's also that little seed of there's that little problem that he has in his head as well, because every time he walks the street and he sees that giant mural of Sahm,
Yep.
I mean, and that was how they kind of ended the show, right? It's like I don't. I'm not really in charge.
I could easily lose the power that I have right now.
And also, there was a great scene between Hong and Young Jun where they're talking about the problem.
I love Hong.
Yeah,
Hong's awesome.
and Young Jun asked Hong for his opinion, and Hong's like, I don't know, boss. This is a tough one.
Well, he says there's no right move.
Yeah.
If he had been honest with you at the start, you would have killed him. And so he lied to you, and now you kind of want to kill him. There's no right move here.
Yeah. Which Hong is 100% right.
Yeah.
And also dumplings. Yes.
I kind of want dumplings.
I kind of want dumplings too.
Yeah, I'm jonesing for some dumplings. But that leads Awesome to be on the outskirts, and he decides that he's going to basically, be a hero, go down to the Banshee, and draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And this was like the
We've been
best
waiting
scene
for
of
this
the
for
season.
so long.
2 seasons worth of anticipation for this.
Well, it's great. He just walks into the Banshee and he's like, okay, who's buying? And all the Irishmen are just like staring him down. And then
What's this Asian guy doing in my bar?
Yeah, and then they cut to the next scene, and there's like 5 Irishmen and just like dead. And he's at a table just drinking whiskey, and that's when Leary comes in and sits down next to him. I just love like the scenes where like Awesome and Leary just like talk to each other.
Oh, well, here's the thing though. Like Leary has one script. He has one line of logic, and that's the only thing he knows how to use. And Awesome just goes like, "Where are you from, Leary?
Yeah.
Are you from here? That's not the point.
Yeah.
Well, what is the point?" He completely dismantles his entire life with one line. Where are you from?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Leary's got to learn how to have a different script.
Well, also like when Awesome basically asks like, "Do you have any kids, Leary?"
Yeah. Well,
that's
that
the
was
moment where Leary's just like, "Enough
have to
talking.
kill this guy."
Let's fight."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like we go to the back alley brawl, and we finally get like a full Leary versus Awesome fight.
So good.
Yeah. Like last season ended on like kind of like the prelude to this, where it was like, yeah, they fought, but they didn't really like finish the fight.
Yeah, they didn't have time.
This time, they finished the fight.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It's a great fight scene. I had a blast watching it. I love the two very different styles. And there was a minute there where Awesome was he was trying to go toe to toe with Leary in the same style. They were just like trading blows, and I'm like, you're not gonna win that fight, bro. and Awesome got his ass kicked.
Well, it's also a culmination of Awesome's character arc this season, because basically it starts off with him trying to prove that,
he's the best.
Well, after he lost the battle to the death to Li Yong, like he had to go back and like figure out, okay, like I need to be better. And there's a moment in this fight where Awesome gets knocked down, and it reminds him of like that moment where he got knocked down in the battle with Li
He gets
Yong.
hit in the chest, just like how Li Yong took him out.
Yeah, and so like he realizes, oh, I'm in the same situation. I need to switch things up. And Leary doesn't start expecting it, and then like he does the 5-fingered.
Oh my God!
death
Before
punch.
that, when he does that thing to Leary's fist.
Oh yeah, like Leary throws a punch, and then Awesome just like
catches
sidesteps it, and then freaking like karate chops his wrist, and it's like he's like, I can't freaking use my hand now.
He broke his hand.
Yeah, he broke his hand. Then Leary, of course, because he's a freaking savage, was like, just like crunches his fist back together.
I guess I'm only going to have it like this from
like,
now
yeah,
on.
I'm like, that's never gonna heal.
But all the Irishmen are watching this fight go down, and Awesome and Leary are like well matched, like
Yeah.
pretty evenly matched. But there's a certain point where Awesome, like they're both kind of like beat to shit, but Awesome gets the upper hand.
This is like a UFC match.
Oh yeah.
From like the 90s,
Yeah,
like
the
early
originals.
UFC.
Yeah, but he lands a punch to Leary's heart. And at that point, Leary is on the ropes, and then Awesome uses like this like double kick to the chest.
Yeah, he
to
drop kicks him.
Yeah,
So-
just to hammer it home.
I
And
was
that,
like-
that kills Leary.
Was
basically.
Pai Mei your grandfather?
Was the punch to the chest the same thing that Lee Young did to him? Was it like that side punch thing? I feel
I
like
don't think it was the same move.
it wasn't the same move. I
No.
feel like
I'd
he
have to
might
go
have
back
learned
and
it.
look.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch.
Because the punch that brought Awesome down, that Lee Young threw, broke his nose, basically.
Oh, that's right. It was the face
Yeah.
punch.
I thought it
Okay.
was kind of reminiscent of the Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch thing.
Yeah.
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 You know, so
It was
guess-
either way. It was awesome, but yeah, it knocked. I think it like knocks the wind out of Leary, and you can see.
You can see.
his eyes are like, holy shit, and then
And
he
like
gets
you
drop
get
kicked.
like a mental image. They don't show you this on the screen, but you get a mental image of what the fuck that just did.
Oh,
like
yeah.
inside Leary's body.
Yeah, he skipped a heartbeat, and his ribs
Yeah.
are all like crunched
Yeah,
up.
you hear the way he breathes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting because this wasn't a fight to the death. Like each combatant gave
Could
the
have
other
easily been,
time to
though.
like get up.
Mm-hmm.
And Leary, every time Awesome got back up after being knocked down, Leary was kind of surprised because he's like, normally like when I put someone down, they stay down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like after Awesome wins the fight, he turns to like the crowd who's just like amazed because Leary's never lost before. And he says, "You guys come back into Chinatown again. I'm going to come back with an army."
Yep.
And they just saw like how good of a fighter he is.
Yeah.
And so like that was like
They don't know he's actually the best. They're like, oh shit, do they all fight like that?
Well, it reminds me of when Bill and Lee went to the boxing match,
Yeah.
and they're like, it's a good thing, not all of
Yeah.
the Chinamen can
Yeah.
fight like this,
But-
otherwise we'd be fucked.
But I think what that was is he has that hero status now,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that the Irishmen know who he is from the previous
It's
fight
like,
in the
you
streets.
heard of me. I'm on the side of a building.
Yeah, I'm like painted on the side of this building. You all saw how we fought. If you come into our town again, there will be blood.
But this loss also kind of makes Leary realize, okay, I can't keep doing the tactics that I have been doing. I need to embrace the political end of this thing if I'm going to actually like beat these
Yep.
guys.
Yep. And then did we talk about Buckley's little staff meeting at the end of this episode where they're doing like, okay, he's like,
So he's about to like take down the Hopway per Myling and his agreement.
And he's going to use the law to do it.
Yeah.
Law.
You betray the law!
so he's like, we're not going to use it. We're not going to do it using bodies and violence and guns. We're going to use it. We're going to use the law to get
Ordinances.
it done. Ordinances. Ordinance 8271 is the laundromat cleaning service or whatever. It's just like ridiculous laws. He's like, we don't uphold these, but now we are going to. And it's going to completely dismantle all of their power structure. And then Leary comes in. He's like, empty promises. Without Irishmen working, there's no hope for this town.
And Leary basically declares himself the leader of the Labor Party.
Yeah. Yep. It was, hey, good ending. Good character arc for Leary. Awesome is, I guess, dedicated to being the hero.
Awesome,
He's
yeah.
going to be the hero of Chinatown.
Bill's wife came back and he cried.
Kind of. I don't know if she's
I'm
gonna...
so sorry, I'm a piece of shit.
Big Dick Lee got to use his big dick.
Yes, he did finally. Fantastic ending to this season, and I'm so freaking glad we get a season
We
3.
didn't talk about Zing.
Zing. Oh, Zing. Okay, yeah, we did get a little cutscene. I think is it a
It's a
Post-credit scene, right?
Well, kind of like so. The Warrior title card comes up
guess I missed it.
after Young June sees the mural of Awesome and kind of
Yeah.
like stink eyes it, and then we cut to San Quentin prison
Oh, yeah.
where
Azkaban.
Azkaban, where basically the funnest guy Zing realizes that the bars on his window are a little loose.
Little jiggly jiggly.
It's Alcatraz.
it's Alcatraz, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
It's exactly
No,
Alcatraz.
it's San Quentin.
No,
isn't
it's Alcatraz.
It's
It was in the
Alcatraz.
water. It's an island.
Yeah, it's
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
What movie did you watch? Yeah, so
it? They
Zing,
call me Vicky.
Zing's not off the table. He'll be back. I wonder what he's going to do though. Who's going to team up with? He's going to team up with Awesome and Young June.
Well, he's gonna want revenge on Chow
Leon.
and Li Yong.
Yeah. But is he going to have an army?
And
though?
Bill. He's got to take out
His
Bill.
army's dead.
Yeah,
They're
and
gone.
all of his guys
They're
are
all
dead.
gone.
So who's he got? Is he going to start a new one, or is he just going to come in as like a?
He's got a prison full of criminals to
not gonna,
choose from.
He's not going to bust all of them out, is he?
I don't know. He's a dark wizard. He could do anything.
I feel like if they're going to do anything with this character, he's got to bust out of prison by himself, and he's going to become like this lone ninja assassin.
Don't give Zing any more power.
Oh, he's also gonna come after Bill.
I just
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Well, Leary's coming after Bill, too.
Well, he's
Well,
not coming after him. He has that
he
leverage
told him,
on him.
he literally said,
He's got a reckoning.
You're going to...
But what does that
He's
mean,
gonna
though?
come.
What does that mean for Bill? Like,
Well-
you're gonna pay for that. Like, okay, but how? Like, you're gonna beat me up? You're gonna kill me?
No, Leary uses it as leverage to get Bill to do stuff for him.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I mean, he's still a high official in the police force, and Leary is still a dirtbag
Yeah.
with a new lease on life, trying to like,
Maneuver politically.
yeah. So he's gonna need to call in that favor.
When
They're
do
all,
you
they're all
guys?
dirtbags.
Well, we covered that last week. When do you guys think Bill will get promoted to chief? Think he's gonna take over?
When somebody murders the chief,
I feel like he's working his way up the ranks, and
Yeah.
now he's like the hero cop from the last episode.
what is his official?
He's sergeant.
Is he a sergeant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what goes next, colonel or whatever. All right, well that's it for the season 2 finale, man. What a wild ride that was.
Yeah.
Can't wait for season 3, man.
Yeah, season 3 is going to be awesome, and we will be covering it every single episode, week to week. So join us starting June 29th. Our first episode will drop as the episodes drop.
Yeah.
So
So excited.
I know we're going to be on top of this thing like as soon as the episode is
Like
live.
white on rice.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a saying.
Still, context matters. Oh, man. All right. Well, that's it for the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys joining up. If you're new here because of this show, thanks for tolerating our nonsense. Tropper, you are a JCVD fan, and we are terrible at our jobs. That's both are true. Both can be true. It's okay.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that says stupid shit. Right?
Vader, say goodbye to the people.
See you later.
Jude.
I don't know why we have to say gobbye every
I don't
time.
know.
You
I don't
know we're
either.
leaving.
All right, guys.
See you
bye.
next week.
Cut.